Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wigan Fan TV. A bit of a chaotic behind the scenes there. Hopefully everybody can hear us, and I just completely forgot what settings I needed to put things on. Joining me tonight, we've got Stuart Minnis in the top corner. He isn't laid down in bed tonight, which is a good sign. Phil Thomason in the bottom corner and Matt in the other corner. And Matt, you've got a bit of a side quiff going on tonight.
Windswept.
I've not had a chance to do anything about it, unfortunately.
Okay.
You'll have to live with it.
I mean, we're not judging you. We're just making you aware of. It's like an Ace Ventura's type hairstyle.
Is it sexy?
Yeah, let's go for that. In fact, it's so sexy that there's now two of you on the screen. How on earth do I get rid of that? This is scary. There we go. We've got rid of you. There's two of you. Phil, I feel conscious that last week, because we had so many people on the screen, that you sort of just sat there quite happily taking everything in, and we didn't really get to speak to you much. So, I know we spoke about what everybody's looking forward to in the season, but looking back at the friendly against Leeds and what we saw from that, is there anything that makes you really excited that you saw in terms of partnerships, or was it just too short of a period for people to get out there?
Probably too short of a period, really. I know we were all looking forward to Manfredi playing, but I think Liam Marshall made more of a case to stay on the wings than anybody else. So I think the competition for places is still there. Interesting. I've just literally just been looking at the squad selection for Lee and seeing that Manfredi's getting about 20 or 30 minutes. The competition for places is probably the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, that's the only bit that I'm really taking away from that game, because it was a game of two halves, wasn't it? We did all right in the first half, and the second half is the second half.
If you can randomly hear somebody making a nuisance in the background, it's the Wigan runner who's just trying to join in. I can hear him. I think he's trying to eat a pie again.
Just not the pie, man.
He's just trying to cause absolute chaos. Matt, you were at the game with your dad. We saw you a little bit of feedback that you managed to give to us. What were your thoughts on it?
I was right about it being cold.
It was very cold.
They put me in a stand near some very dodgy people.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my God!
Stuart breathing down my neck. It was. Do you know what's interesting? The two different views on that game. You look at the Yorkshire Evening Post, which is like a sort of Fisher-Price version of a local newspaper, and in there they're saying that Leeds were the dominant team throughout, and Wigan just got lucky for a period when they scored a couple of tries. I saw it very differently. I saw Wigan really not too bothered by Leeds in the first half. And in the second half, it was all that kind of whole merry-go-round of putting people in different times and positions. And, the second half was just there to be endured, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. It felt like that, didn't it? And you've got the Matthew, if the Wigan runner, if you are listening, you need to pop your camera on, or unless you just want to be a voice from above and join us, that's absolutely fine. But I do think he is eating the pie. Stu, your thoughts on the game? I believe you enjoyed a nice trip at the DW as well, over a curb, was it?
Oh, Mark Dillingsworth, don't start again. Hey, not really like. Notes on the game. Very impressed with Marshall. To me, he's got the winger spot, man. Do put him in. Very disappointed with Burgess, the winger, not the prop, the winger. Very disappointed with him. Very lacklustre, But now Manfredi's go tomorrow night. See what he can do. Give him a go. Put him in. It's all about, like I said last year. We've got to make these competition places. We've got to be there. Let's do it. But on a push though,
have you hurt your chin?
Razor, mate. Fighting with a razor.
Was it not when you fell off the curb?
No,
sure. Sure it wasn't when you went over on the curb?
No.
I think that's such a better story.
No.
You've picked up on something there, Joe Burgess. Now, for me, Joe Burgess looked very much like the Joe Burgess of 2019. I was hoping to... I think everything that we're saying tonight, we're judging somebody on 40 minutes of a performance, aren't we? Which is pretty harsh. But hey, that's all what we have to judge somebody on. It just seemed like Joe Burgess of last season. He looks short on confidence. Didn't really have any pace. Didn't really have any opportunity, I don't think, to really do anything. But then I saw, and you've touched on Liam Marshall there. Liam Marshall looks like he's added something to his game. Yeah. He's almost added a bit of Tom Davis to his game, hasn't he? In terms of he wanted the ball in his own half. He was willing and happy to do the hard yards. Phil, your thoughts on that? And reading into
no, I agree. But I was just going to ask a question. Actually, I wonder if Joe Burgess. Am I right in thinking his contract's up at the end of this year?
Yeah, they gave him a 1-year extension, didn't they? Which at the time seemed strange, but 40 minutes into a pre-season looks like it might be shrewd business.
Sure, I watched an interview with him where he was saying that he's had a couple of niggles and he feel like he's been at his best. But for me, like if he doesn't shine against Warrington, first game, he's really going to struggle to get back into the squad. When you got Leigh Marshall who's pushing at it and biting at the heels of everybody just to keep on playing, and Manfredi, who I'm sure is going to be sticking his hand up. I can't see Joe lasting very long if he's not going to up his game.
There's a comment on here which I'll bring back. Stuart Scribbins' comment I'm going to bring back onto the screen and tell you guys what it is, because I know you can't really see it in a second. It's a comment that he made after the game, and I want to sort of not pick it apart but discuss it, because it seems very odd 40 minutes into a pre-season about tactics. But I think one thing that's been on there, like Tony Pete's comments on screen at the moment saying Marshall's nailed on for a wing spot. I think to give Liam Marshall his credit, 2 years ago when we played Warrington away, just before we went over to Australia and played Hull and the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Marshall for me just didn't have it in him. He was never going to make it as a long-term Wigan winger. He was never going to get that number 2 jersey. It was always Tom Davis for me. And defensively, he just looked suspect all the time. But the improvement in Liam Marshall, I think, has been absolutely incredible. And I think that a lot of people saying it's about confidence in Joe Burgess. His confidence isn't there at the moment. Matt, are you surprised at that? Do you think tomorrow against Leigh, the fact that he's in the squad, that's his opportunity to get a bit of confidence, but confidence in a young team as well?
Yeah, I think the key point is we've seen one game.
Yeah.
14 minutes of it, I suppose you could say you could read something into. I'm gonna hold fire on any judgment at the moment.
Don't be boring. Come on.
What?
Judgment now. 40 minutes in. Write somebody's season off. Come on, do it. Do it.
No, I'm not going to be bullied by you, Sean Lawless.
Again. As I bring Matthew Melling's now on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure everybody's delighted to know.
Melling's there. Not me.
Sorry, Matt, carry on. Well, he's not got a pie in his hand, so carry on.
That's new. No, I mean, obviously, every pre-season game is a chance for every player to make his mark. But I'm not too keen on just writing somebody's season off after 40 minutes against Leeds.
I tell you who will write somebody's season off. Go on, Stu.
No, I'm just saying he's had his chance, right? Now it's Manfredi. He's got his chance again against Leigh. So why not? I'm not writing his season off. I'm just saying he's below par. And there's Marshall. There's your first winger choice. I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying, back to the old, I'm just disappointed with him. I'm not writing him off.
I think I've just put Nicola's comment on there saying I think he's still carrying injuries from last year, and I can't remember if I made this point last week or whether it was in my sleep, but it was a good point. I completely forgot about the injuries that Joe Burgess carried going into last season. He had that season-ending knee injury, didn't he, coming back from an ACL? And I think that's had an effect, and the confidence back.
He got witnessed.
Yeah, he got witnessed, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely had an effect. So I'm being a bit crude and writing his season off, but it's all about selling headlines, Matt, isn't it? You've got to do something controversial on here. Red V TV have bought a microphone. We've got to up our game. Gents. They've got a microphone between two of them now. Matthew Melling, welcome.
Hands up. Who's not wearing trousers?
As long as it's only hands up and you don't stand up. Matthew, you just been out for a run, I'm guessing. You just got in. Nice of you to join us.
I have, mate, yeah. I've just come back from Cheshire Hawks. Drove straight back. I did, yes, that's why I was last minute. When you rang me, I was just going through the door, but it took a few minutes to set up, but we found a way. Okay. Can't have just gone on.
And you've been in Bulgaria this week. I think the less we talk of your trip to Bulgaria, the better. Making friends.
On that video.
It's that controversial. It keeps going off the screen.
Someone keeps trying to ring me, pressing reject, but they're still ringing me again. Whoever you are, I'm rejecting your call for a reason.
It's the hotel in Bulgaria. You've not paid. I want to bring Stuart's comment back on the screen and get your thoughts on this to start with. I'm being a bit crude by sort of taking this apart. It just seems, for me, it kind of leads into, I guess, a talk about positional player that we saw at the weekend. So we had Bevan French at fullback, we had Zach Hardacre, didn't we, at centre, and a half-back partnership with Luluai and Hastings. One of the things that really excited me actually was that Jake Bibby first try, which was just a continuation of Salford, wasn't it? It was just Hastings to Bibby and over we go. And the fact that that's on the left-hand side concerns me a little bit because we've got to get Gildart back in the team, but I'm sure they can pass from left to right on the other side. But Stuart Scrivens, not Stuart Minnis, although it does look like a Stu comment, says, same old boring kick on the last tackle. Every one man and his dog knows what's coming after the fifth. Need to change it up. I mean, I don't know whether that's just a criticism of rugby league in itself around the rules of kicking on the last tackle, or whether that's a criticism of Jackson Hastings for 40 minutes into his Wigan career. I didn't notice anything that led to concern that we were just kicking it. For me, it felt like
there was one that Zach made that just went absolutely nowhere. We might as well have just given the ball away, but apart from that, there wasn't really anything on the last play that was massively concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth sort of putting on there as obviously a comment that somebody's made, but it certainly doesn't strike me as an area of concern just yet. I think we've signed a brilliant player in Jackson Hastings who will be able to do that and sort of shut it out. But Stu, your mum agrees with the other Stu. She says he's absolutely nailed it. Stu Minnis, your thoughts? Wake up. What's your thoughts on that?
What you saying now?
She's agreeing with the other Stu. Maybe she thinks it's you. About kicking, about lack of options on the last tackle. Is that something that was discussed in the car on the way back to Cumbria last week?
What?
Were you just nursing your wounds?
No, I wasn't nursing my wounds. Basically, talking about what we were pleased was the other string, the second half. Even though we got absolutely annihilated, it's only a friendly. But I was pleased with the London kid. What do you call him?
Kai Pearce-Paul.
Pleased with him. And I was also pleased with that funny name that I got wrong last year, Borough. Amir Borough, is it? Amir
Borough, yeah.
Impressed with him and all. So, to me, we've not to worry about. It was just trying positions. A win would have been nice. But you know what our Yorkshire lot's like from Edinley, let's give them but let's take them when it comes to the proper time in Super League. Because at the end of the day, it was just positions and everything else. So I'm not worried there. So bring it on.
Matthew,
I agree with Mr. Tumble. I think you're dead right. And also, just let's make this point. This was the first time that this Wigan team played together. Leeds have had 2 pre-season friendlies already, so that they should be more fluent and fluid than Wigan are. And for a first time that we played together, I thought that was one of our better pre-season displays.
Oh, we've had some horrendous ones. I mean, in terms of Wigan are an oddball for pre-seasons. It just feels like we try and do without them as much as we can. It obviously works for us in terms of success that we've had over the past 10 years. But Matthew, as we come to you as a resident sportsman amongst us. Although Stu is sort of entering the Olympics as a tumbler, as we now know. We mentioned this last week. Are you concerned about going into a season cold? The fact that we picked a squad for tomorrow night, which is a very young squad, most of the sort of key players only got 40, 50 minutes last week. Is there a danger of not being prepared in terms of game time, do you think?
Not at all. It's exactly what it says on the tin, those matches, isn't it? Well, a testimonial or a friendly. So we'll get the chance during this regular season to try different players, get them warm. Let's make no mistake about it. It's the playoffs that matters the most. I know I always say this, but as long as we peak when it really matters. But I know we want to be entertained all the regular season as well. But the regular season is where you try them out, you get them warmed up, get them ready, and then you go into the playoffs, hopefully without injuries, ready to play your best. So I don't think it's a concern at all, really. Better to learn lessons early.
Matthew, Stu's mum is asking, what are you eating this week?
I've not had a chance to eat all afternoon. They're called mountain chips. I'm on this nutritional thing, and this is one of the snacks that I'm allowed. This is like one of my treats that I'm allowed. It's not the pie.
The real mountain.
Throwing those pies away because they all went mouldy. The idea was to keep one every week, but they all went mouldy, so I had to get rid of them.
Phil, one of the questions that I got asked before the show was about the cost of pre-season and whether sort of fans are being priced out. Now, going to onto the Leigh game tomorrow night, I'll just try and remember what the costs are. I think £20, I think it is, Leigh versus Wigan. Wigan now pretty much putting out a reserve team. Obviously, Liam Farrell's testimonial feels a little bit different because the money's going to support Liam Farrell's testimonial, so you probably don't think twice about paying money to go and watch that pre-season game. But are fans being priced out of the opportunity of seeing stars before the season, or is the league basically see Wigan as a cash cow, do you think?
For me, it's practicality. So, I mean, tomorrow night I take my lad rugby training, so Thursday nights are not an option for me. So that for me personally, but I mean, £15-20 is not a massive amount as long as you can afford to do it. It's just, football seems to price everybody out. So if we do the comparison between football and rugby, they're actually quite cheap, really.
Yeah, Matt, your thoughts on that? Having to travel such a distance to attend games as it is. Getting up here and having to go to Leigh, if you were going to Leigh on Thursday night, I know it's impossible for you, but then being faced with a £20 ticket fee to go and watch a championship side against reserves, it feels unfair, really.
It does feel a little bit cheeky. I don't know, though, because there's a part of me that thinks we need to pay for this spectacle, no matter whether it's reserve level or friendlies. There is some responsibility on us to pay a decent price to go. Do I feel like I'm being milked by Leigh? No.
It's not the first time in your life you've been milked by Leigh.
I would say to them, pull the other one.
It's on my screen, and what everybody else can see is Matthew Mellin sat underneath Stu doing a milking action, and it doesn't look very pleasant, I've got to say.
Phil Mellin,
you know what I mean?
Go there, son. That's what I'm saying. Don't go there.
So, here's one from Josie for you, Stu. Training is completely different than match fitness, so I think first team should try and play as many games together as they can. Practice makes perfect. Are you concerned going into the season knowing that Jackson Hastings is only going to have had 40, 50, 60 minutes playing with Thomas Luluai in the halves, Bevan French, Zach Hardacre, knowing what the squad looks like for tomorrow night? Is that a concern going into the Warrington game, or do you think as much can be done on the training pitch?
Nah, I'm concerned there. Even at the end of the day, if they do turn us over, Tony's first game of the season, so no bother there. And end of.
Yeah, I never look too much into pre-season results. I mean, I think if there was a league table for pre-season games, we'd be right there at the bottom, wouldn't we, battling it out? I mean, we've lost some horrendous ones. I mean, Leigh do normally turn us over in pre-season games because of that. Yeah. There was a great comment on here about, as well, perhaps looking towards a team on Twitter about Jack Wells being back tomorrow as well. I'll just try and bring the Wigan squad on. It's going to cover somebody's face up, I think. Doesn't matter whose face it is. It's just Matthew's, never mind. There we go. Matthew, nobody can see you at the minute. So the team, I guess, include the first teamers who are in that squad. You've got Joe Bullock coming back from injury, haven't you? You've got Joe Burgess, who we've been talking about. Mitch Clark didn't really get much time, did he, against Leeds? Joe Greenwood coming back from injury. Chris Hankinson, who's got a position to fight for. Yamila Hanley, who is just exciting, and the opportunity to perhaps see him in the first team tomorrow night is exciting as it is. Don Manfredi obviously coming back from injury. You've got Jake Shorrocks, who's playing for his future at the club, and then Jack Wells coming back from what has been a pretty much a 2-year injury. Phil, when you look at that squad, and I know you were looking at it just before we came on air, is there anything in particular that excites you about that? It feels like combinations aren't going to be our strong point in that game, but it's certainly a look ahead to the future again.
Yeah, I think. I know last week I said I'd want to see Manfredi wrapped up in cotton wool for a little bit and stuff, but actually I'd love to see him get 20 minutes of each half, and then let's see what he can do. I'd love to see him run out again there. The other one, like I said, is Mitch Clark, because I don't remember him being on the field, if I was being honest.
I mean, that was always the thing with Mitch Clark, I think. Sorry to sort of jump over you there, but that was always the thing that Castleford fans said when we signed Mitch Clark, is he plays pretty much 5 minutes a half, and that's what you've done. So hopefully he gets longer minutes tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see if he starts, because he's certainly not a starter, but if he gets that opportunity, that would be a positive at least. But sorry, Phil, interrupting you there.
Yeah, no. Other than that, Jake Shorrocks is. I quite enjoy watching Jake Shorrocks play. So I think for him, he needs to, to stand out and to shine and to pass people around the field like he does. So that's where I'd be looking at watching it.
Matt, for yourself, what excites you about tomorrow's game, apart from milking Leigh, or being milked by Leigh?
Nothing is exciting me about it, because I can't watch it. I won't be there. I won't be milked by Leigh. So I'll just be listening for, or at least watching the score updates as they come up. But I just feel it doesn't matter. I'm just waiting for Warrington now.
Tony Pete puts the comment on there. Jack Wells, if you can get back to full fitness along with Dom, makes our right edge miles better potentially. Jack Wells was such a great prospect 2 years ago. To have him back in contention, it sounds is good, and really sort of adds depth to our squad. Matthew, any plans to go running round Leigh tomorrow night, or are we just giving your plans away?
No, I'm not running around Leigh tomorrow.
Have you ever run round Leigh?
I can't believe. Yeah, I've not run round Leigh for a while, actually. It's been a good few months. It's been about 6 months since we ran round Leigh. I will do it. I've got a few people have asked me from Leigh to run around there, so we will at some point. It'd be good if Leigh was in Super League and we could arrange a run around the stadium, but for the foreseeable future, they're not, are they? But £20, I can't believe I'm hearing that. Who's going to pay that? What if you've got a family and you've got kids? That's insane. When you were saying let's get the...
They can go without food for a day or two.
Yeah, that's acceptable. I've tried that.
Give them a bag of mountain chips.
It should be like £5, shouldn't it? When you were saying let's check the prices, I was thinking it was going to be like £5 or £4. Not many people are going to pay £20 and leave that happy, surely.
Well, that's Derek Beaumont for you, isn't it? Evening, Derek.
For Leigh, it's a final, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think the other way to look at it is put yourself in Leigh's position. I think if we were in Leigh's position, we'd be charging as much as we can to sort of have that, wouldn't we? But yeah, it just seems excessive, doesn't it? For £20 for a pre-season friendly on a Thursday night as well. Let's talk about one thing. There's a couple of other things.
Hang on.
Go on.
Before you move on from that conversation,
okay.
Right? You tell me a better way to spend £20 in Leigh.
Think of the tan that you could get for £20. If you walk down Leigh High Street with £20, that's at least 90 minutes on a sunbed, I reckon.
I'm glad you said sunbed.
Easily.
Or 50 pints of semi-skim milk. That's probably a better way of spending it.
few
and you'd rather do that than watch rugby.
A few pasties from Green Algaes, a couple from Greg's. Yeah, there's a way to spend a lot of money there. 20 quid in Leigh.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Probably the best one is a taxi out of Leigh. That's from Stu's mum there. 20 quid for a taxi out of Leigh. Where would you end up? Yeah. That feels like a good maths problem, Matt, for you to try at school. I know you don't teach maths, but just try it anyway. If you had £20 to get in a taxi out of Leigh, where would you finish?
I'm going to try that. I'll tell you what. Later in the year, I'm going to go to Leigh, give a taxi driver 20 quid, and say, "How far do you go, mate?" And see what happens.
Yeah, you'll probably get milked. Right, one of the big things that I think is worth discussing is talking about rugby union. But Saracens, obviously, the Saracens are going to have to release players. Wouldn't if the rugby union players, they wouldn't count on the cap for the first year. 50% on the cap in the second year. I think somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Ian Lenigan's come out and sort of done a bit of an interview with Phil Wilkinson about how they've not got any plans. But when I hear Ian Lenigan say that they've not got any plans, I read that as we're exploring that as a possibility. Knowing the Sonny Bill Williams effect, Stu, would you expect to see Saracens players, rugby union players in rugby league within the next 12 months, and in particular at Wigan? Yeah,
me and Stato was talking about this with Neil Davis for the game. Hence the curb, Sean. That's what I'm saying on that. Not on the head. Right, anyways, we're talking about this.
Hurt your chin.
Yeah, that was a razor, Sean. There you go. But no,
you've never needed to have a shave. Oh, actually, I have. You had a moustache once, didn't you? And a little goatee.
Yes. But I'll talk aside though. We were talking about this, and me and Max said the same thing. How long till our beautiful chairman, Mr. Lenigan, comes out and makes an announcement? Sean, come on. For all the slate they give him last year, it's a new type of us this year. You know what I mean? You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked come October. I'm telling you.
I mean, last year you were.
Who knows what you mean?
Yeah, you. I mean, of all the comments that you said last year about Ian Lenigan and Chris Radlinski, and now you've just called him beautiful. I mean, that's one extreme to another, Stu.
You go.
Phil, your thoughts on that? Do you expect to see rugby union players, Saracens players within rugby union at Wigan within the next, should we say, 2020 season? And how important is it that rugby league capitalise on somebody else's misfortune for once?
If it was another rugby league club that would go, that had sort of essentially broke the rules and needed to finance themselves, we'd be looking at the quality of players. So for me, it's about balancing the quality of players and looking at who we've got going potential at the end of the season when we've got Sean O'Loughlin retiring. So, there's going to be space in the salary cap for somebody, and it's just a case of where they fit into the next year's plans. But then I'll chuck in a curveball and say it depends on who's coaching us.
Absolutely, yeah. And whether Adrian Lamb's discovered any more of his kids on King Street. Gary says he's heard Ian Lenigan's comments. He wouldn't be able to get anywhere near their wages when they're being overpaid. I think that's a fair comment, but I think the other thing to keep in there is this third marquee signing, which is there and thereabouts. I mean, who would have thought that sort of Marwan Kukash's parting gift to rugby league would be the marquee signing rule, and that it still be in play, and that could actually benefit from that in the long term. Matthew, your thoughts on rugby union players coming over? And yeah, I mean, we've not mentioned it yet, but imagine if Owen Farrell signed for Wigan. Just saying.
Well, I didn't know, until you just mentioned it, I didn't know about that new rule changes with the rugby union side of things. So it is interesting. So you could get some players that have to come to rugby league because of that. It seems weird that a rugby union player has to come to rugby league. I'd like to think it's the opposite way around. But we could end up seeing some rugby union players coming our way. So let's see how it goes. It'll be interesting. One thing I wanted to ask last week that I forgot to mention was about Sonny Bill Williams. I've heard some crazy amounts mentioned as to what he's earning per week.
And they won't be far off.
So how on earth are Toronto going to pay that and stay within the salary cap?
So you've got your marquee rule, marquee signings. It's only the first 150,000 a year is counted on the salary cap. You could pay him 20 million a year if you wanted to, but it would only cost you the marquee amount. So that's what the marquee rule was brought in to do. Really, is pay whatever you want to do, pay whatever you want. And the fact that Toronto have got wealthy backers, and the fact that Sonny Bill Williams is a global name fits their criteria really. But I think when you look at the Toronto squad, I think they could have done with spreading that money out a little bit thinly, couldn't they? Because unless he can play in a few positions at the same time, I think they may struggle this season.
And how's it working this season with the teams that have to travel over to Toronto? Because when they was in the first division, weren't they paying for all the teams to come over to Toronto?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I don't know. I would assume it's similar.
Leeds, I don't know which game it is. Leeds, whenever they're playing, Toronto play Castleford in a double header. I think it's sometime in Feb.
It's the first game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously, what Matt's saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms
game in Ireland as well.
I think they've got the game against St Helens, haven't they? What's supposed to be at the Allianz Stadium, Saracens' home ground, but they've just confirmed. I think it was today when Toronto had their media day at Man City that Saracens won't be hosting that anymore. Who knows? Maybe there's some bad blood between Rugby League and Saracens. Don't know why that would be. And I think that's going to be played at Ealing Trailfinders now, so at London Broncos Stadium. I've not seen any in Ireland. I know they're playing at Leeds, they're playing down in London. I think there's another one that they're playing away. But Matthew, I think the stuff that you've just said about they had a deal, didn't they, with Air Transat, so they would basically fly. I mean, you've got teams like Workington and Whitehaven, London Scholars when they were in League One that had to fund their players to go over to Toronto, and they would fund that. So I would assume that it's pretty much the same deal this year. Matt, your thoughts on life?
You don't want to know that.
You might get all philosophical again.
I read the article and I picked up on completely different things. I thought what Ian Lenigan was saying was along the lines of, no, we couldn't possibly afford this unless more people come to watch us. I felt that was a bit of a little hint at the back end of that article to say, it might be on the cards if you actually come and watch us.
I think it would have been even. We've lost Stu for a second. Somebody's probably ringing him now. Oh, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Somebody ringing you?
My uncle. I'll speak to him after.
All right. Does he want a quote or anything?
No.
Okay. I've lost my trail of thought now, Stu. It was something really important, really poignant, and was going to make us. We were going to go global then. But I haven't got a clue what I was talking about.
You're not wearing trousers?
No, I am wearing trousers. Let's not start vicious rumours like that. Again, Gary says Toronto are playing Wakefield at York, so that's the third stadium that they're playing at as well this season. Anything else on? It feels weird that we're talking about Toronto, but anything else on Toronto before we move on? Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying, which was a really good point, Matt. You were talking about Ian Lenigan's article about it being, basically if you come and watch us, we might sign Owen Farrell. I think that's pretty much what he was saying, Matt, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how I read it anyway.
It would have been really good if he just said, look, if you can average a crowd of 12,000, 13,321 people a game, if it drops one person below that, I'm not buying Owen Farrell for you. But if you maintain that level all the way through the season, and your good little fans will buy Owen Farrell for you, that would get you there to the ground, wouldn't it?
Yeah, thank you, Daddy Lenigan. That seems...
If he genuinely came out and said that, and we all got together, right, make sure, and we counted everybody in to make sure, when we're playing, I don't know, Wakefield on a Thursday night, we got to the level just in case, that would work. We need to do that.
Owen Farrell would feel much more wanted.
Yeah, it's fine. His dad took him down to London when he was young. He already feels abandoned. Don't worry about Matthew, do you think that would work? Would you get on board? Would you usher people into the stadium to ensure that we got Owen Farrell? You look confused.
We need to increase the attendances, don't we, at the games? I can't get past what happened against that game at Salford. In the biggest game of the season, it felt like it was a pre-season friendly in terms of how many people turned up. That can't happen, can it, again? They need to do something better this year all round. I mean, I love the stuff they do for Veterans Day. There's certain matches when it's been the Wigan Rum Festival, when people get free entry. They did that last year, the year before. Yeah, so I hope they do that again. But we need... I do agree to an extent. I think too many people say they support Wigan but don't go to the games at the moment, don't actually go to... They watch it on Sky. I think there needs to be more of a culture again where more of us actually go to the games, even when it's raining, on a Sunday, on a Thursday or a Friday. Just got to find a way to get to the game. Save that £20 and don't go to Leigh tomorrow. The regular season.
Well, that leads quite nicely onto the news that I don't know if anybody's seen yet, that we're going to announce today about the Flexi memberships and the ancient or Loyal 18 memberships that they've launched today as well, which is basically a 4-game season ticket. So the prices vary depending on what stadium you can. What stadium? Ideally, you'll be in the Wigan Stadium, but what stand you can go into. So they're trying all that they can. It feels a bit late, perhaps in the pre-season to be launching it, but obviously they want people to buy season tickets before they buy part season tickets. So today they've launched the prices for 4-game tickets, so you can pick and choose your games that you attend. I think for the West Stand, for example, it's £90. And then obviously comes down in price for adults in the other stands. And then the Loyal 18 membership, which basically I think is just a £5. You basically become a member of Wigan. You get discount on tickets. You get discount on, I think, Magic Weekend tickets. Get second priority for Grand Final, Challenge Cup Final, and all of that. Thoughts on that, Phil? Do you think that's a good place to sort of target and try and sweep up those that can't commit or can't afford season tickets?
Yeah, I mean, for me that would be something that would help me to get more games, because I've got 3 young kids myself.
One sold. There we go. I'm going to get in touch with Chris Rodlinski and tell him we've sold one already. 2 minutes into this.
To be fair, I haven't checked my emails today. I've been reading that later on, thinking actually I can probably get to more games than I realised this year.
Brilliant. I'm going to snip this little clip and send it to Chris Rodlinski.
Let me know.
He might hold you to it though, so you might have to get your cash out.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Stu, your thoughts on that, especially if, somebody as well who's got to travel, like me and Matt have got to travel, and obviously from even Phil from Rochdale, you've got to travel a distance to get to games. There's a commitment there. For a 4-game pass, does that sound good for you, Stu?
All right, yeah, definitely. What are you talking to these, Sean? Are you talking to
I always tend to start with Stu, question, and then you answer. But with you, Stu, I go, Stu, question, reaffirm that it is for Stu, and then you go, go on, sorry, Stu. Four game pass.
Oh, definitely. It's ideal, isn't it? It's why not? Definitely do it. I tried it a bit ago.
Does it include the Derby game as well?
I will carry on talking and I will check for you. I was thinking that as we were talking, whether there's some kind of exemption for the Saints game. Somebody might beat me to it, but you talk amongst yourselves. Carry on, Stu, about your 4-game membership and how it's a good
4-game membership idea. But it's like Phil just said there. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't include Saints game.
Every game.
Or Magic. Magic. You know what I mean? So,
it won't include Magic because it's just home games at the DW. I'm just reading it now. So in terms of your prices, so for adults, £88 in the West Stand, £77 in the East Stand, £70 in the South Stand. So 4 games in the South Stand for £70. If you're buying over 60s, £55 in the South Stand, 18 to 24-year-olds, £51, and then juniors, 0 to 17, £30. Seems a bit daft when you can, the season tickets for under 8s obviously kind of contradicts that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you're talking £70 for four tickets it's a pretty good deal, and that includes Saints. Matt, your thought? Sorry, Stu, go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on, Stu. What are you saying?
I think it's a really good deal. But going back to the Owen Farrell thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, just take us completely off topic, Stu. I mean, go on.
Warrington's key at doing this, aren't they? Making, we've signed him for next year. We do this, we've signed that. Are we not allowed to contact Mr. Farrell and do that? And because it gets fans optimistic for next year. I know the season's only just starting, but I think that's not a bad idea there.
I'll try him after this.
Because he's gone and bring him in as his replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would assume that that Wigan are working. I don't think they'll let the opportunity of the Saracens issue go without exploration. At least, that's not to say that we'll actually do anything. Your mum says this show is crazy tonight.
This vision of Ian Lanigan around to Owen Farrell's house like the child catcher off Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with his cage in the back of his van, and he's there going, "Highs, matching chips, all lovely things." Get him in the back of that van, drive him up to Wigan as quickly as he can. He's ours.
Sure, it's a pie that is all he needed to tempt him into the back of that van. Mate, as long as it's not a mouldy pie. Matthew, you were talking about attendances then, which led us on to this. Your thoughts on that? A 4-game membership, which makes it more affordable. Pick and choose your games. You guarantee that people at 4 more games. I guess it does what it says on the tin.
Well, I thought when Stu was speaking about it, for the first time ever, I was agreeing with Stu, and I thought St Helens game, for example, would be not included in the games against Warrington and Leeds. But if it's any, I can see what people are going to do. Some people are going to go, right, we'll watch the game against Warrington, Leeds, Saints, and maybe Toronto might end up being there. So I think a lot of people might say, well, we'll go to 4 games and just those through the season. So, yeah, it's good because it's going to save some people money. But I think we're going to need to do something more with a season ticket, something like you get a free Wigan top if you buy a season ticket. Or you get a size 8 extra large one from last season, like I got for £5. something that gives you something extra, just like a free, just something that makes a culture come back of the season ticket to be a season ticket holder.
I think if you get in 4 games, though, if you toying with the idea of getting a ticket, or you're not financially able to get a season ticket, 4 games will give, especially if you're choosing some cracking games like Warrington, Leeds, Saints, and maybe Toronto. The following season, you'd be like, do you know what? I went to 4 games last year and I really enjoyed it. I want to be getting a season ticket, so it could encourage more people to go. But I mean, for me, it's more, I've got other commitments that I can't commit to a season ticket at this moment in time. But when I did have one, I absolutely loved it. So
I think
4 games for me would just be like, well, I'm having 4 games, and then I'll have to see if I can have another 4 games.
And what you've just said about that, though, about it doesn't matter if it's the Saints game, the Warrington game, the Leeds game, and the fact that they're the games that will be. I think we're going to just come to any game, even if this, it doesn't matter about the Saints game anymore. It's not protected in terms of that. We're not going to put any limitations. We just want your money, really, because but that's how they're going to sell the sport. And I think the fact that they're opening it up to the Saints game is really important, because that's the one that's going to be the spectacle. That's the one that's going to convince you for the following year that you want to buy a season ticket. So we've got to give the opportunity to sell the products and get people into the stadium. I think this is a great initiative. I think it's coming late in the day, but I think that's deliberately so, isn't it? To give everybody the possibility who may be thinking about season tickets, going for it, and now you've got that option. So hopefully, the fact that we've sold 1 ticket on this show shows that it works. And assume that you won't be going on your own, Phil. So that'll be, take Betty there for 4 games as well. Take a Saints fan, she go to the Saints game. So that's two tickets.
For the Saints game, and sit with a bunch of Wigan fans.
Absolutely, it'll be fine. We won't point her out or anything. Don't worry about that. Right, what else should we talk about? What are we on? 45 minutes talking utter nonsense. Matt?
I've got a question about the game against Leeds on Sunday. Okay. I just want to know whether I was seeing things or anybody else saw this. at one point, I saw I think it was a Wigan kickoff, and the ball went really high into the air, disappeared into the fog, and then it came down, and so did a dead bird.
It's what happens in the fog.
Did anybody else see that?
Yeah.
I was told about it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But it was
Did you see
foggy.
it, Stu?
Yeah, I did, Matt. Yeah. Because when the water carrier went on, didn't he? And
And tried to give the pigeon some water.
Yeah.
They brought the stretcher on for it.
That's right. Pat Gelling tackled it. That's all I'm saying to that.
I mean, did anybody pick the bird up? Did anybody put it in a pie? Do we know how this bird's doing, or is it properly dead?
I think Toronto signed it.
Is it like Monty Python dead?
It's in the new pie for Matthew O'Million. It's Matthew O'Million's new pie.
And is there any sort of like old wives' tales about killing a pigeon in pre-season? That means that you win the league or something.
I think it must.
I think it does. If anything, I would say it guarantees you a Wembley final.
Good.
I'm sure that's what it does. Anything anybody would like to discuss? Because as Stu's mum's put in the comments, this does feel a little bit utterly crazy at the minute. We're talking about pigeons. Spent most of our time talking about Toronto. Go on, Matthew. I can always rely on you. Go on.
I didn't ask you before, and I usually do, Sean. Hopefully it's okay. A bit of competition winner for something I did tonight.
That's banned.
Okay.
Go on. Don't ask for permission. Jeez, just get on with it. Do what you need to do.
On Wednesdays, if I get a chance, I do Wormer Running Wednesday. So I did that today on my page, a Wigan Runner, and I said to people, I'll announce the winner if anyone can guess it where I was, and it was Cheshire Oaks. So I've just looked through the comments now.
You know that you mentioned that you were at Cheshire Oaks at the start of the show, so you may have just like given everybody the answer.
That's a good point.
That's twice he's done that. He done it last week and all.
There's loads of people. Maybe people got it actually. It could be right. No, some people have said Skem. Some people have said Peter Meadows has said Manchester Beer Festival. So I was meant to go today. Surely. But yeah, the first person that's got it right is Ian Stellamon Roberts. Whoever you are, Ian, you've won 2 tickets to Empire Cinemas. Hopefully, you're local. It doesn't matter if you're not. It's open to anyone. But yeah, Ian's won those tickets. And 2 other things that have got exciting. We've got last year, as Matt will know, I had a competition for oddballs where we gave away a pair of boxer shorts.
Don't make him stand up. Don't make him stand up.
And Matt luckily won one of them. And I think the picture of Matt in them should be posted next week. And I'm linking again with oddballs next week, and we're giving away 3 pairs. But this time, one of them is a pair of knickers as well. So it's the new Wigan Warriors.
I'm definitely on for that.
I've never heard the word knickers on this show before. It feels wrong.
Wigan Warriors knickers as well. So that means we're going to have a woman in a win next week. And terms of entry are anyone that wins has to post a photograph in the boxer shorts or the knickers. So, Stu, you've got a good chance if you put an entry in, mate. That's
Hey. See, next time you're running around Leigh Stadium, I'm going to get Parky Pig to come and tackle you.
I'll have to run off then.
You're heading for a milking.
Is that your go on, carry on. Your next announcement, sorry.
But the biggest news that I've got is I finally agreed today. I'm working with Wigan Warriors again this season. And I'm going to be giving away 2 tickets for every home game in Super League this season as well. So I'll be running a competition for every home game. 2 tickets will be given away for every Wigan game. It'll be dead simple. Like, share, comment, Facebook, Instagram or Twitter as well. In fact, I might even start announcing the winner on the show on Wednesday nights.
Brilliant.
If it's for a Friday game. Yeah, in fact, we'll do that from now on.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's just... Yeah, let's do it. Come on, yeah.
Okay.
Go on, let's. You've got your face up here now. I don't know if you can't see it, but where I'm pointing, that's your face is up here now, next to Wigan. Oh, wrong way. Wigan Dodgeball Warriors are up there as well, and all of our partners up there. Here's a question that Spencer says: can he post himself in the knickers at Cheshire Oaks?
Yeah.
That's fine.
You don't need to win the competition for that, Spencer. Just do it tomorrow. Right, let's finish with this one question that's coming from Martin, which is quite a nice sort of pre-season question. We'll go around, name the player, and then a little bit of why you think this will be the reason. But who's going to be the standout player this season? Stu, we'll start with you.
Bevan French.
Why?
Well, I think he's going to try and, well, how can I put it? What he's saying, Jackson Hastings, this and that. I think Bevan French is going to be the one to watch and all. Basically, there you go, Bevan French.
Matthew Mellin, your standout player for 2020, and a couple of reasons why.
Tom Davis.
Okay, let's not mention Catalan's players.
No. I'm going to say I agree with Stu again, twice in one night, more times than he said, do you know what I mean? And Bevan French, I agree. You could see, couldn't you, when he was yelling with the players that he's got some special stuff up his sleeve. But honestly, Sean O'Loughlin as well, because it's going to be an emotional season for him. We've got to do everything like we said a few weeks ago. He's got to go out on the highest high for Wigan.
Matthew, you lost the debate. You can't try and win it 3 weeks on. You just lost it.
As far as I'm aware, Sean got the most votes, did he not?
It's a good point. Badly made. Philip, your standout player for 2020 and the reasons why?
I think Bevan's going to have a really good squad. I think Jackson Hastings, I think he's going to slot into the squad quicker than probably what people have given him credit for. Even though he's only had one game with us so far, I think he's going to really shine, and I think he's, short of saying he's going to be Man of Steel again, I think he's going to have that good of a season with us.
Matt?
Ooh. Who do you go for? I'm tempted to say Owen Farrell, or the young Lamb triplets who were about to sign next week when they turn up. Did
you notice that he kind of disappeared and just didn't play? Maybe the DNA test came back. It's like you're not a lamb after all.
Maybe Sam Powell.
I was going to go last and say Sam Powell and try and be the only one that said Sam Powell. But go on, why Sam Powell? Because I'm with you on it.
I just think more and more, I think we're realising that he's one of those players that when he's not on the pitch, we really, really miss him. And I think this is going to be his season where people will kind of be finally won round by him, because I think he's a really, really good player. And I think this is a season where we'll realise that and we'll see it.
I'm 100% with you. That's my pick, Sam Powell. I think that injury that he picked up towards the back end of the season, and we struggled. Well, we didn't struggle against Saints. We got annihilated by Saints, and then he wasn't fit really against Salford, was he? And we missed that. He's added something to his game. The last 6 months of last season, he started running from dummy half. We saw that, I think, in the pre-season game against Leeds a lot more. It seems like to be a conscious thing that he's doing now, making yards from dummy half. And his tackling is just immense. This is somebody who grew up as a halfback. I'm with Joseph here, although I don't think he will be our next captain. I think he'll be in the leadership group that Adrian Lamb has. I think he's there as a leader already, a quiet leader, a bit like Sean O'Loughlin is really, and Liam Farrell. So I'm with you. I'm with Sam Powell. And if we didn't have Johnson and Darryl Clark in the England squad, I think he would be the third. If there's an injury to one of those two, I'm putting my neck on the line and saying Sam Powell will be in the Ashes squad by the end of the year. There you go. Live and die by that statement.
Sean, can you remember last year against the England Knights when they played the Renault, the one who played on the Reggae Boys at Edinley, but he was the captain of that, and he marshalled them well and he was brilliant in that game at Edinley. So there you go.
I think he's a great player who. I think he's an easy scapegoat at times because he's not present really on social media. He doesn't do anything controversial. He likes fishing. I mean, he's a bit boring, really, isn't he? And people don't like boring people, as Matt wouldn't know. But yeah, he's one of those people. I think he's just we miss him when he's not there, like Matt said. So that's my pick for the season. And as we know, I'm on a winning streak at the minute, aren't I? After winning the debate a couple of weeks ago, so we should be all right with that, and I think I'll win again. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next week we can stop talking nonsense and start focusing on something that actually counts. Warrington and the return of all of those ex-Wigan players: Gelling, Charnley, Kabula, Hughes. Who else? All of them. Well, basically the Wigan B team. So Matthew Mellin, thank you for joining us. Close and nearly on time. Phil, nice to hear you tonight, and thank you for joining us. Stu, it's a pleasure as always, and I hope your chin heals from your curve fall. And Matt, thank you for rushing round and getting the Ace Ventura hair in for tonight. And we'll see you all next week, I assume, as we preview the Warrington game. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. See you.
See you later, guys.
See ya.